And welcome to this week's episode of Esports Wrap. Sorry about that, folks. I had a slight issue with my microphone. But we're back, and let's do this. So, welcome to this week's episode of Esports Wrap. I'm your host, Michael and Dwan, and normally I would have a guest. I was actually expecting my co-host, from time to time, Dwan, to be a part of the show. I'm still expecting her, so she may still turn up a little bit later on during the episode. That said, over the weekend, a game that a lot of people have been having severe reactions to, extreme reactions to, I should really and truly say, came out. It's called Anthem. And this is a new take on some really good loot 'em shoot 'em type games, I should say. For the most part, it's what a lot of people have been calling the game that Iron Man should have been. At least in how you fight and, well, not necessarily how you fight. It does take elements from it, but definitely from how you fly and maneuver around, because you're actually in a suit, much like Iron Man's. You have the stealthy ones, which is the interceptors. You have the rangers, which are more what you would normally see from an Iron Man suit. You've got the Colossus, which is very similar to the Hulkbuster, and then you've got the Storm, which, quite honestly, I don't think I've ever really seen an Iron Man suit quite match up. That one's pretty much just similar to the Interceptor in design, except instead of being what a lot of the community calls the Interceptor are Ninja Boys, the Storm is I've seen a lot of different ones with this one, a Sparkly Boy, an Elemental Boy. There's a lot of different names, but essentially he's an elemental character. And let's roll back just a little bit and actually get an understanding as to what Anthem really is about. Anthem, the name, comes from the Anthem of Creation, which inside the story is pretty much the sound or source or power that helps shape reality. I won't get too much into detail on that because we're gonna try and make this a spoiler-free episode, so anyone can watch this without worrying that we're going to be giving away a bunch of information that will then later spoil the game for them. Now, your job as a freelancer, which is what you're tasked as, that's how you make money, and essentially you're doing odd jobs of security, safety, saving the world. No big thing, just, in a day's work. Now, the game starts off with you pretty much having come out of, and this is quite literally the first thing that you see in the game, so I'm not counting this as a spoiler, but essentially the city that you used to live in has now been ravaged, and by these things called Titans. And these are elemental creatures that are really big, do a lot of damage, and can be a pain in the butthole to essentially take down. And there are levels to these guys. You have like at least 5 different levels. I think it's around 5 different levels for Titans. And they can be the smaller ones, the ash ones, Lord. Either way, they become a problem. And they're one of the big baddies inside the game that you need to consistently take down when you're out in the world or when you're in missions. And that then brings us up to, well, back to the story. Your city pretty much is destroyed by this, and you and your team leave and find a new city. There's a lot of contention about that, and you'll find out more about that during the story. And that brings us up into another element of this. Now, one of the things that people have been really going on about since the game has launched, well, and even during the demos, was that the story was lackluster. And you know what? That's fine. That's fine that they're saying that. I want to just come out clean and say this. The majority of the people that I've heard giving bad reviews are those that somehow feel entitled. Be they reviewers who didn't get special access and to play the full game before everyone else, like they do for a lot of other video games. Hey, welcome to the stream, Ja and Ease. How you doing today? Okay. The next part about it inside the story for Anthem, I should really and truly say, is, you know, while these reviewers have been pretty much saying that the game sucks, and it's been getting anywhere from about 5 to 7 out of 10 by a lot of different video game. Hey, Jay Bruce. Thanks. And, okay. Thanks for saying JK, Ja, and Ease. Which one do you prefer? Ja and Ja, Ease, or Ja and Ease? Ah, that sounds actually kind of like it can meld. Ja and Ease. But, let's continue. While these people have been making these, oh, thanks for following. Welcome to the cookie pack. But yeah, while these guys have been making these reviews, and honestly, some of them have been very judgmental, and some of them have actually been a little ill-timed because they started writing these up based on the demos. Either the VIP demo, which happened for the persons that pre-ordered the game, the people that, when they did the open world demo for the PS4 and users and whatnot, and then they did a week early, so an early access for certain persons who were on PC. And that is where part of the problem actually came in. Okay, so I will call you Jahi. Sorry. Okay, Jahi. So, yeah, like I'm saying, the issue for PC is that, and I've actually had a few friends that kind of mentioned this as well. They're saying, it's the same source code, so and so and so. And I'm like, yeah, it's kind of the same source code, but it's still different because they can throw it inside of an engine, which can then produce it for different platforms. But each one of those platforms technically has different APIs, different code sets of code. You know, things work differently. What happens on PC won't necessarily happen for PS4, won't necessarily happen to Xbox. And that's what some people aren't getting. So while they may have had some issues with their PC, which admittedly the game does not feel like it was meant originally for PC, and there's a lot of people that say, you know, this game feels like it was ported over from a console system to Windows. And that could be actually quite true, especially with the way how Xbox has been moving. Like, they could have made it for Xbox and just kind of tweaked it a little bit for PC. To answer your question, Jai, I do, but I don't play it often enough. It's been a while since I've actually played any seasons or even the default Save the World campaign mode. But yes, back to Anthem. And here's the thing, guys. When you start to base something off of an early access or a demo, essentially things that I've quite literally seen them say, we're basing this off of early access, we're expecting things to get fixed for the day one patch. When they admit that they're writing this information before the day one patch even comes out, when it's available to everyone, it kind of comes off feeling a little shady. At least in my opinion. Now, while I'm saying that, I'm not saying, these places are bad or, don't use these places, so on and so forth. What I'm saying is they haven't really focused in on what they should be talking about. And that's actually gameplay after day one, not launch. Because admittedly, there are a ton of games that launch poorly. And I think the real criticism that comes in is because people are looking at this game at the same time that they're looking at something like Apex Legends. And that's honestly not fair. Because Apex Legends is made by a completely different company. Not only that, it's also, how should I put this? A completely different type of game. Now, when I say that, I mean, when you really take a look at it and take a look at how this is really built out, then it kind of comes across, you have a battle royale game, which is already a fairly simple thing. The map is only so big, versus an almost MMORPG in a sense, or a massive multiplayer online game, role-playing game, I should say. Which essentially is what this is, because you are playing as a character, you are going through a story, and sure, it's a looter shooter, which some people have, they don't agree with the whole term looter shooter. But that's essentially what it is. And so you have a lot less to design for with something like Apex Legends. Sure, you have to work with the servers, you have to do with the characters, make sure the animation's right, make sure that the systems are working right. And to Apex's credit, yeah, the ping system that they did, they worked on that for a month, just playing without any audio or any other cues or anything like that, just to make sure that system worked. And that's great. Anthem, however, should not really be compared to that. It should be compared to other MMOs, which, admittedly, probably the biggest one out there is either Final Fantasy 14 or World of Warcraft. And let's admit, pretty much every time a new patch comes, a new expansion comes out for those games, crap hits the fan. And it's not pretty. And there's generally bugs, there's generally issues of some sort, and things just don't go well. So, let's move on from that and actually get into, let's actually get into the story itself. I already told you about the intro and what you started as, and people have been knocking the story for this game, saying that it is lackluster and that it doesn't actually have a lot of depth. And I actually disagree, because the stories that these characters have, while they may be random at certain points, where as you're developing the city and your relationships with people and so on and so forth, new people start to show up. You have new conversations, and that's kind of how real life works. It's not going to be the same persons every day. Sometimes you're going to be hearing things as you're passing. Sometimes just some person wants to talk with you that you don't really know. And I think that has to be one of the key points in this that people have to recognize. Certain conversations aren't going to be more than, hey, how are you doing? Or tell me about yourself, so on and so forth, and you learn a little bit about that person. Some can go, different days, you meet up randomly, you talk. And then you've got your friends and family and coworkers and so on and so forth that you talk to regularly and develop that closer relationship with. That's essentially what this game is like on all of those aspects. Because, yes, you have the odd person here or there, like our resource shop lady. Then you've got people like an old lady that you meet later down the line, who thinks you're her son. And that's as much of I'm going to say. It's that one is actually a little heartfelt. Then you've got just the continuous missions. And, admittedly, the game can get a little monotonous when it comes to having to walk around and talk to people, because you'll go out on a mission having cleared out and talked to everyone in the city, go out on a mission, come back, which is, in game hours, that would probably be a few hours before like a mission would have been cleared and something like that. Then you come back and then there are more people to talk to. Sometimes it's the same person you just finished clearing with, but that's because the storyline has been backed up a little bit. So, you go on more missions and more things eventually start to show up. And I can see where people would start to try to rush through it, but don't rush through the story. Don't rush through talking to people. Enjoy it, because that's where they spent a lot of time. And the design of this game, both graphically and story-wise, are actually very well done. And I think it's actually a little heartbreaking that people are just knocking it without saying, it has no depth. Because I've actually grown attached to certain characters. Owen, Matthias, Aruna, Haluk, Faye. There are many other characters inside this game that are kind of pivotal characters, or at least more well-known ones, like Max or Negan. Or sorry, not Negan, Neeson. I hate that guy. If you played Anthem, you know exactly what I'm talking about when I say I hate him. But the point that I'm getting at, and I'm gonna just end the story part with this, is that while they're doing all that, saying all of that, you have to just enjoy it, because if you rush through it, you're gonna miss a lot. And it's the little things, like a lot of people, I'm pretty sure they don't know that inside the game, even after you've talked to someone, sometimes they'll send you mail. It's almost like an email system where you find out more about that character. They actually have newsletters that you can get sent to you inside the game about fashion, economics, this, that, and the next. And there's even a radio show. And it's kind of competitive, because there are factions of people in this game that prefer one radio show to the other radio show. And with that, it's kind of weird, because these are those old-time radio shows that used to come in back in the day, where they were very dramatic and, oh, I love you, and na 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 na, and so on and so forth. And like, I listen to it because it's actually part of the story that, kind of comes up. And different characters are listening to these shows, and it's kind of like they bring it up so that you could actually listen to the show in the game, and it's kind of interesting. So trust me when I say there's a lot more to the story than meets the eyes. And I think people just need to spend the time and actually do that. On the same token, I think the game could actually do a lot better in explaining where everything is. Because for the most part, and I'm starting to get into gameplay here, things aren't necessarily explained very well when it comes to this game. Everything from, how you actually do combos, or how certain things work, like certain gears and items work, versus so like masterworks or legendaries, and like the specs, and even certain icons. So for example, if you take a look at a gun that's in the game and you see a humanoid looking figure, that means essentially that stat affects the entire system, the javelin that you're using. So everything, let's say it gives you 15% damage. That means your guns will do 15% more, your special abilities will do 15% more, your ultimate will do 15% more, so on and so forth. On the other hand, if it just has a gear looking icon, it means only that gun will have a 15% damage boost. And that's not said anywhere inside the system. Well, inside the game, or, so on and so forth. So that's disappointing. And of course, like I mentioned, the game did launch with bugs, and we found bugs back in the VIP demo. Hardcore. It was hardcore inside the VIP demo. I found issues during the open. Actually, you know what? I did not really have any issues inside the open beta. One of my co-hosts, Chris, he did though. And actually, no, we were every once in a while we get kicked off of the system. That was the main issue. Right there. And it would just happen randomly. And, that issue's still kind of there. And it's annoying. And, truth be told, it's not really anything to do with the game development or design or anything like that. It's actually more so with EA servers, because it's EA servers that don't seem to be able to handle things very well with the amount of people that are actually playing this game, which is surprising because you're not seeing that with other games from EA. But then again, this game is first launch, and it's much bigger than something that's online, than something like Apex Legends in terms of all the stuff that it needs to pretty much register. Because in Apex Legends, you're just loading up character information. Anthem, you're quite literally loading up character information, loot drops, things that you want to fight, things that are moving around, the random wildlife that are just there, visual effects like rain, so on and so forth, that actually have an effect on your javelin. So yeah, there's a lot of little things inside of it that cause the game to run not as well. And I must touch back on the point that, a lot of the reviews that you're probably seeing are based on the PC version from back before the patches even happened. And even since that day one patch, another patch has come out. And that's one of the great things about this game, is that the developers are actually being very, very vocal about things that are happening. Issues, they're saying, okay, we understand that this is happening. We'll try to fix this, and so on and so forth. And honestly, I would say they've done a fantastic job on it, because I haven't seen pretty much any game that the developers are that dedicated to answering people's questions. Like, they have a mega thread on Reddit where you post your issue and a developer will pretty much answer you there. You can tweet them on Twitter and they'll respond to you, or they will tell you what's happening on their own personal Twitter accounts, and you can find out what's happening like that as well. It's very few games that do stuff like that. I think Final Fantasy, I think maybe like one other game that really have an in-depth community like that is consistently talking. Some people were saying that, on launch day, the devs were quiet, and, people were a little scared about that. And admittedly, I was a little like, okay, they are being more quiet than usual. What's going on? And then they dropped an entire Reddit thread, pretty much saying what all they're going to be fixing, things that were touched on with the day one. So the day one patch, then they went on to talk about what's happening in the next patch, which is going to be fixing some of the issues that people were talking about. And then they did a whole post on their own thing where their devs pretty much, answered, well, it said, this is what's happening. We're sorry, actually, you know what? I wonder if I could find that. News, latest news, and highlights from the community at launch. I don't think that's it. And update notes. Maybe this is it. Day one patch notes. Yeah, okay. So please excuse the again, I was expecting Dwan here. She should be on shortly though. So we've got day one patch notes here. So they have all this information of stuff that was changed. And trust me, this is a lot. Things that they were patching, just fixing, for everything from javelins to the user interface to crafting to so on and so forth. All of this happened day one. And then, now that things were actually launched, they said, here's what's happened, credits, so on and so forth. And they showed off some Lancers and people having fun. And then we have this post, which is the key post, I think I should really say. This guy, he pretty much just saying, today's worldwide launch marks a big milestone for Anthem here at BioWare. We're excited and at the same time a little anxious. Coming off of our early access periods, we understand that we have a lot of work ahead of us to continue to improve the game. As a live service team, a core tenet for us is listening hard to the community, which they have been doing really well. We use that insight to fix issues and make quality of life fixes to the game. Our most recent patch, the one I just showed you guys, the one you're playing, then, reflects your feedback. You can see the list of changes here, which I showed you. Many came from listening to you. Beyond that, we have a growing list of improvements we're evaluating for the future. You're starting to see the next of those coming this week, which has now since released. While the launch is our most significant step, it's also the first of many in fulfilling our long-term vision for the game. He looks at today from two perspectives. As a gamer, he's excited that what they've created with Anthem and the promise that it carries for a long future behind the game's lush world, immersive lore, rich characters, and core gameplay. As a developer, he also knows that he's worked hard to strike a balance of engaging BioWare's story combined with a fun action gameplay and multiplayer progression. He also knows how much more we want to bring, how much more that they want to bring to the game. So they also then showed a new roadmap system, because before the game really launched, they showed us a roadmap, and it was there, and so on and so forth. But it wasn't 100%. Like, you could still see that there were some issues here and there, and things weren't really talked about that much. I was talking with them and kind of went over the story and how they essentially saying that, people were saying that even though the story is lackluster and stuff like that, there's a lot of stuff that people haven't really looked into. Everything from stopping just rushing it to actually just sitting down, reading, and actually engaging with these things, because there's a lot of character development that happens with not just the main characters that you see, but even with like the little smaller characters that you just randomly meet here and there. And sometimes they'll just like send you an email, and I talk to them about the email system. Like, for example, the prophet guy, the street prophet. You just randomly see him one day and he'll be talking something, and if you just stand there and just listen to him for a little bit, he'll then send you an email, and he'll say, he's acting a little crazy on purpose, so on and so forth. And like, you understand these characters so much more than if you were just going off. Exactly. Especially if you just like skip a bunch of stuff as well just to rush through it. So yeah, but what was your take on the story? Because I know some people were hitting on that fairly hard.
I mean, I feel like the story's still being done. So I can't really okay, for what it is, like, I don't mind it. I mean, okay, I was a bit disappointed at how quickly I got there, because I think we played it from the release date, which was 12 on Friday, 12 a.m. on Friday. So we played it on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. When did we reach endgame? Like, basically like yesterday?
Yeah, we finished endgame kind of late yesterday. At least I did. I know you.
Yeah, I was done by Sunday, I think. Like, by Sunday, I for sure I was done. I mean, we basically played that game all day. So I can't really say, like, honestly, like, as soon as I woke up after I brushed my teeth and bathed, like, I didn't really go. So I just basically say don't play the game. So I mean, like, I'm pretty sure had we done it a bit more healthier, it would have been longer than it would have been as it was intended, but because we kind of, I wouldn't say we rushed it, but because we liked the game so much, we played it so often that we ended up hitting the end a bit quicker than I had anticipated. My only gripe with the story was the ending felt a bit anticlimactic for the amount of buildup that it had throughout the whole storytelling. And I think they could have done a better job kind of prolonging that and kind of making sure, because they did a good job of making sure like the contracts and the side quests kind of lined up with it. For example, when you actually needed to like complete Matthias's storyline in order to continue playing the main storyline. I thought that was pretty cool. It was I don't want to say tricky. It was a clever way of not only halting the player, like making sure that they didn't rush through the game as quick, but it was a good way to kind of like make sure that the side characters got their spotlight, because you could have like easily just played the main mission, but they made sure that like the side characters got their little moment. So it was a little clever way that they did that, and I could appreciate it for what it was, but I still wish like there was a lot of things. I felt like there was a lot of things going on in the background that we didn't really get to see, like the storyline. Are we allowed to say spoilers?
I'm trying to keep this one a spoiler-free one.
Okay. So this is a part of the story. I know you're gonna know what I talk about when you reach the temple.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you know how a certain character popped back up, and I was like, "What happened to you?" Like, I understand like they're trying to tell the story through the eyes of the freelancer, but then at the same time, like they could have clue us in, or like have some kind of missions, like hinting to like him doing stuff with the thing, or like even like just rumor. I heard a rumor, like
Yep.
just like little rumors here and there, or something like that, saying like, okay, like this thing was out and on the loose and like doing stuff, like, you know what I mean. So it didn't feel like it was like a I don't know. I think they were kind of hoping for like a shock impact, like, oh my god, what happened to you? But it came off like did I miss something? Like that's how it came off. It was like did I skip? Like, was there something like in the side stories that I was supposed to see and I didn't get to see? It was kind of like that kind of feeling, and I don't know. I think they were going for the shock factor more, but it kind of missed the ball a little bit. That was literally my only gripe with the story.
I don't know. Like, once we got to the temple and we saw some of what happened, it was like my hatred towards what
How
had
could
happened.
you hate him? He is so precious. He must be protected at all costs.
All in all, when he did what he did, I hated him.
So
like,
quick to anger, Michael.
It just like all that like love and affection. It was like you did this. Screw you.
I mean, I guess we can talk about it later, because I in order to defend him, I would have to spoil stuff, and I don't wanna do that. So I'm just gonna say that I don't agree with it, but I understand.
I will say that he redeemed himself a little bit.
Did he really? He had no choice.
Exactly. So I don't know if I can really forgive him. That said, and I'm not gonna.
It ain't right, but I understand.
Let's just say that we may not have seen the end of him, because remember, he went somewhere else.
He still got it.
Exactly.
He still got it. So I trust me. Like, it's gonna make sense if you watch a walkthrough or play the game or read up on the story. I promise you, we're not talking gibberish. Like this, everything like it has a meaning. So yeah.
And I like what you said. Like, there are missions for little side characters who are, in some aspects, they're kind of main characters too. Like Dax, Bryn, what's the old dude's name? The old Sentinel. Well, the old freelancer who.
Oh, Halak?
No. The one that does stuff on the wall.
Oh, you mean the black guy?
No.
Oh.
The one who. Hey, Chilligan, how you doing, man? No, the one that like you go out and you get the links and so on and so forth, and he writes their information on the wall.
Oh, Yarrow?
Yarrow, that's his name. Yes.
I like
Oh
Arrow.
no, Chilligan, don't say that. The Anthem is not Destiny's little brother. It's actually a little different. It's actually quite a bit
Can
different.
I have a link to the Periscope so that I can see this foolishness? Thank you.
um, sure. Give me just 1 second. But yeah, no, that's not the case at all, dude. Like, in all honesty, this game has a lot more going for it than any of that. And
I have a question for that user, Chillagen. Sorry to cut you off. I have a question.
uh-huh.
Why do you feel as though it's Destiny's little brother? Well, we
That's
can
a fair
continue the
point.
discussion
Yeah.
as he thinks about his answer. I want to know from you why you feel that is. I don't know if y'all can tell. I know I just came, but I am super passionate about Anthem. Anthem is like my little child, so I get really defensive when people like start bashing it for no reason. So because like Destiny has like a really negative stigma at the moment. So I just want to know personally why you feel as though what did you mean by that? Was it is it a good thing? Like, is it a bad thing? What's your meaning behind that? Thank you.
She's putting you on the spot there, Chilligan.
I just want to know. I just want to know.
I mean, I want to know as well. Like, I honestly don't see it. I can see. Actually, no. Let me rephrase it. I can see elements of Destiny,
Right.
but I see elements of other games too, like Diablo, because the masterwork system and like the way how the stats roll on the weapons and so on and so forth. And then there's the actual tier systems, like easy, normal, hard, Grandmaster 1, Grandmaster 2, Grandmaster 3. People have dug into the game. They found a Grandmaster 4 inside there.
Stop digging, man, y'all. Spoiling everything. Just let it be natural.
Like, essentially, there's much more to this, and that's kind of like where you were going as well. And I think that's the reason why the end game story ends the way it does. Is because that's not the end. Even at the end, they're saying, hey, there's actually some more stuff that's going to be happening. So
I think in March, right there.
yeah, because okay, let's actually take a look at because I did go over the message that the developer had said and that they had given us a new roadmap. So let's actually go and take a look at this roadmap, and we actually have a year one, and they break it down. So they have recurring updates, which is quality of life fixes, improvements, and optimizations. Then weekly alliance coins, which people were saying, oh, this game's gonna be you pay to win, and it's gonna have microtransactions and so on and so forth. But honestly,
clearly those people weren't reading properly.
No, they weren't, because the microtransactions shush are just purely cosmetic. Like, they are just paints, different types of metals, javelin designs, nothing that affects how the game is actually played. And you can get this, you don't even have to buy stuff with real money. You get this just from having friends that also play the game, and every week more friends that play the game, and the more that they do and so on, the more everyone who's friends with everyone else gets. It's a really nice loyalty system. Also, another reoccurring update is that the daily, weekly, and monthly challenges, which actually sometimes are a little more difficult to do. Like, I know I've cleared out the daily ones twice, maybe 3 times. I've finished the monthly one, which actually I think ends tomorrow. I still need to finish up the weekly one. I don't know if I finished that up yet or not. But essentially, there are continuous things that you can then do to raise yourself in different, to give yourself coin, to give yourself different faction points, stuff like that. And apparently the cosmetic guy, Prospero, who you meet early on in the game, he's going to be
Mhm.
having a store refresh later on as well. So there's going to be more
Nice.
items, and things may actually look a little better. You don't know. For February, of course, was launch, and then there's going to be a new free play, well, several free play events. Outlaw Outrage, There Be Giants, and Shaper Surge. So we've probably seen some of those out there inside, and these are, again, inside the free play element. They don't necessarily get named like when you go there, but you may have actually already started playing some of these without actually knowing. Then we get into March, and this is where things start to get interesting. And I still haven't seen anything from you, Chilogen, so if you're watching, Dwan did ask you a question. Feel free to answer.
Oh my.
I'm putting him on the spot.
You can answer in the Discord later if you want.
But yeah, March is going to be having Elysian Stronghold caches. So that's essentially chests inside the Elysium Strongholds. And strongholds are pretty much the dungeons inside this game. So you have free play, you have missions, you have contracts, and then you have strongholds. And strongholds, by far, are one of the more difficult things to complete inside this game.
It's like strongholds, just to give persons a gauge of how difficult it is. It's harder than a strike, but easier than a raid. So it's like in that little middle ground.
Yeah. And, that's decent because, I mean, I'll put it this way. During the demos, they had the Stronghold one way, and that was really enjoyable, but also, hard. Then we came to the actual game, and they turned that up. They did
us so dirty.
Oh,
that
my
was
gosh.
dirty.
They changed up so much and made it just so much harder, but it was so much more enjoyable when we actually just completed it. I know I enjoyed it. But I now need to get used to this new version. Not only that, we're then going to need to start, once we hit level 30, start taking a look to do Grandmaster stuff. And so things are just going to get turned up a whole new level after level as we get used to it. And that's essentially where this game is currently at. You're consistently making yourself better. To do that, there's where these other things are coming in, like new items. I'm pretty sure there's going to be new guns, new gear, maybe some new types of special effects, so on and so forth. We're going to be at the end of the game. You unlock legendary missions, and in March, that's when phase 1 of these missions starts to roll out. And see, that's another thing. These reviewers aren't taking any of this really into effect. They're again.
Well, did we already speak about the reviewers? That was gonna be my favorite part. Yo, why did you wait on me?
I talked about them a bit. It's pretty much saying, they pretty much just focus mainly on the demos and the first day stuff, and not really looking towards where the game actually is after the patches.
They focus on all the narratives, period. I saw another YouTuber call out another one because apparently they were relying on EA and BioWare to get clicks for their video. It's gotten that bad.
Wow. So the hate train is real for this. Oof. Ouch. But that's not entirely surprising, because we already found out that, aside from, not really paying anyone to do reviews or giving people early access to the game to play beforehand without, having the need for Origin access or EA Pass, essentially, a lot of people have really started to knock the game down because of that. And which is unfair, because you really shouldn't be basing a game based off of its demo. or before day one patch, especially because most MMORPGs, and this is kind of what I was touching on earlier, they have really craptastic launch days. And
my thing about it is,
this is the first weekend.
Right? My thing about it is that it's not even the fact that they should expect Apache games, because no one should have to expect something that they bought that's supposed to be completed. That's like me getting my AirPods and I open it up and only my right AirPod in. Like, that's not what I paid for, and I paid full price. That's not what I paid for, right? My thing about it is you have games that have been released from last year that are not patched yet. Okay, like you have games like Ubisoft, publishers like Ubisoft who been releasing patchy games, and it's just I mean, like, people give them. This is R-rated. I don't know. It's shit. I don't know. People give them shit for like people give them shit for releasing a patchy game, but at the end of the day, like, y'all still can buy a Ubisoft game. If Ubisoft decided today or tomorrow that they are going to run out with another Assassin's Creed game, y'all would bitch about it, and then y'all would be right there in line for it.
Pretty much.
And then y'all would complain about it, and Ubisoft never answers. But BioWare does, and that is the difference, and that is why I will support them, because at least they are listening, and at least we know they're listening. But, like, you know how long people have been bitching about Destiny and their crappy loadouts, their crappy
load times,
systems, their load times, the freaking story, basically buying an unfinished game. Like, people have been complaining about that long before, like a year before Forsaken even dropped. And they didn't say anything to the consumers. They just left them up in the blue, floating in limbo. And there's nothing I hate more than floating in limbo. And that's where they left us.
Yep.
Bungie left us floating in limbo. And
no, Bungie didn't leave.
And then
Bungie.
Sorry, yeah, they left us floating in limbo, and then they charged us to obtain the completed game. You pay for Anthem once, and everything after that is free except cosmetics, and y'all making noise. Why? Every time there's they literally last minute put in the launch bay because people requested it.
And see, the thing about it is the cosmetics you can get for free.
Their customer service is like so top tier. I understand, yeah. They released a patchy game. They probably should have waited. Did you talk about how apparently the release date was supposed to be in September?
No, I actually hadn't even gotten to that part yet.
Yikes. Okay, critically yikes. So apparently it was supposed to be released in September. And yeah, it would have been nice for them to wait for us to get a finished game. But at the moment, like, with EA as their publisher, they have somebody's foot on their neck. Like, so, I mean, like, I understand enough to give them a bit of leeway and to say, well, okay, I can give you a room to breathe, because I could see this game being, like, way better than Destiny, way better than... If they do it right, it probably would be on a tier like a Final Fantasy 14. I think it's 14.
I don't know.
Like, it could... not as large, but... the support that it has, like, definitely be like, the only other MMORPG I know that gets, like, real-time updates and developers talking with the consumers is Final Fantasy. That's why I call them.
Yeah.
That's the only other live game that I know that does that. But
see, it's not just me that thinks that. She's saying the same thing.
So. Oh, yeah. I mean, I just feel like if you can play the game, just don't play it. But you don't have to badmouth them when they try and be. Like, they're honestly trying, and they're like, at this point, there's nothing they can do except move forward. And either you can support them or just be quiet about it and go play another game. That's how I feel.
I mean, you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Everybody is entitled to their opinion, but I mean, like, people... See, I would respect the bashing, because it's not really bashing if it's the truth, right? It is true that the story was kind of short, in my opinion. It is true that, you know, every time I walk into the loading deck, the NPCs, like, they skate, like, they literally, like, across the screen, like they're like, everybody get in your places, and then, like, they just skate across the screen and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, like, that stuff happens, like, people getting kicked out their games before, and, like, have to start over a whole mission all over again. And that's fine. That is true, and they're working on it. My thing about it is that you have people who have not even touched the demo, the free demo that everyone was able to play. Like, you could have taken the time. Like me, I'm not really for example with Division 2. I'm not really too hot for Division, but I was still willing. Like, a lot of people was telling me, "Hey, check this out on my Twitter or whatever." So I was willing to like go download it to give it a try. Everybody was hype over Apex.
Yep. Apex
Everyone's hype
Legends.
over Apex Legends. And I was like, okay, what's so good about this game? And it's like, oh, it's really good. It's really good. You should try it. So I went and I downloaded it. I ended up not playing Division 2 because you had to pre-order the game and wanted to play the demo, and I was stupid. Like, I'm not spending a whole $60 just to play the demo. And then if I don't like it, you already have my money. No, that's not cool. But I did download Apex Legends, and I formed an opinion of my own instead of just watching YouTubers and watching reading these review articles and just like taking it at face value, because I wasn't expecting to enjoy Apex Legends as much as I did, and I could actually see myself playing that in the long run if I actually learn the controls. It's just that Anthem has my attention right now, but like if I had gone off what I saw around the internet, then I would have never played it, and I would have missed out on a possibly good game. So it's like, you haven't even played the game yet, and you have like such a strong opinion and like opinions on the internet. Like, I could really hurt the company when it could grow to be something bigger than what Destiny was. So it's like, I mean, like, if you haven't at this point, all speculation is out of the window. And if you want to have an opinion about the game and a correct opinion about the game, like I would listen to your opinion if you actually played it, not the demo. If you actually play the game at this point, because the game is out. So like, there's nothing stopping you from buying it and just forming your own opinion instead of acting like you sharing a brain.
And there's a simple thing that talks, and that's numbers. If you take a look at the PS4 trophies, one of the early missions in the game is called Early Warnings, and that has a 92.2% completion by people who have downloaded and who've bought the game, which is good, and that's normal. But then you get further on, and Triple Threat, that's something that's a lot further down the line in the story, and that has a 20.4% completion rate, and for a game that just came out Friday, so that's been like 4 or 5 days, for people who have already gotten 20% into the game, that's 1/5. Like, they would have completed 4/5 out of the game, I should say. I think that shows that there are people that are enjoying this game. Yeah. There is 0.1% of persons who have gotten all trophies in this game.
What? Like, what y'all eating? Like, what is your sleep schedule? Like, do you not have a job or something? Are y'all getting paid to play games? Can you please shoot me an application? Like,
it's weird. Like, even the trophy, the Tomb of General Tarsus, which is kind of like a little bit further than midway of the game, but not quite like end game, but it's close-ish. That has a 38.6% completion rate. So for a game that, we are telling people not to rush and actually just sit back and enjoy, this game has people playing, okay? And for them to be making it that far, something's got to be doing it. And see, that's the next thing with these reviewers and people complaining about things. It's like, okay, you're complaining, but then you're still showing content of you like finishing up the game and everything like that. So you just tortured yourself just for this review. Sure you did.
You're just stupid.
Sure you did. Ronaldo is saying, money talks, Dwan, we're gone. Enjoy, cough, cough, sweaty, cough, cough. I'm not sure what the enjoy and sweaty part is. You may want to refresh me on that.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I was asking Ray to explain that one to me. But yeah, like there's a lot of stuff. Like even with the games, the game design itself, the world is beautiful.
Beautiful? Oh,
Very
beautiful game.
expensive. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff that actually goes into it, from everything from wildlife to weather effects to just simple movements around, things spawning, events happening, chests, and keeping track of all that information, and so on and so forth. And it does it fairly well. Like, sure, like Dwan says, there are bugs here and there. Um, and sometimes you get the random Titan doing a moonwalk, in a sense. But the fact of the matter still remains that the game, for the most part, is well done. And even with the shooting system and actually like attacks and stuff like that, it's by far one of the best that I've seen for something of this genre. People were talking about, oh, how there's a delay between the time someone gets hit and the damage. And it's like, but that happens in other games. You shoot, and there's generally a little bit of a delay because of distance. What are you talking about? This is how you guys wanted these games for like 3-4 years ago. You didn't want to just shoot and it instantaneously take damage. You wanted real-time effects. That's what you're getting. There's gonna be a delay. So, in all honesty, a lot of the reviews that I've seen, a lot of people that are really complaining, I think the number of them are doing it for just to be cool and say like, oh, well, this game sucks.
I think I think a lot of them. I want to give like a couple of them like the benefit of a doubt, and assume that they just want to be a part of the discussion. Because that's the thing too. Like wanting to be, um, I guess, just have something to say. Just have a narrative about, or have an opinion based on what they think they know. They just want to be able to discuss it at some length. And if they don't have the game, then the next best step is YouTube.
That's true. Nolly's saying that they complete so much of the game because so fast because they sweaty players. I don't quite get that last part, but I think they just do it because the three of us, we played the demos. I know I played the VIP demo. Dwan had an issue with playing VIP. Chris was able to play VIP. But we all played the open demo as well. And from each of those demos, I know for the first set, both myself and Chris wanted to continue playing. Like, we were itching for the game. Like, it had become somewhat of an addiction.
Honestly.
And then the open one, and we felt that way. Dwan, obviously, now is also feeling the same way. And that's the reason why at Friday, 12 o'clock in the morning, a.m., we found ourselves turning on our PS4s, jumping on, and doing a few hours playing together. And just like enjoying the world. And admittedly, I'm not going to get into the whole playing together thing, because we did play solo a little bit. But now that we're endgame, we're actually playing together a lot more. And there were some people saying, play the game solo. Because, things can load out before. So, for example, if you, some missions require you to join up with other people. If you decide to do that, then, well, I shouldn't say required, but they give you the option. And it's heavily nudged towards playing with other people. If you do decide to play with other people and you load in later on, you may miss 1 to 3 lines of the conversation, so you may actually lose a little bit of the story there. And so if you want to play and actually get the full storyline, then playing solo is your thing. Now, me personally, I never really had that issue, as I was actually almost always one of the first persons to load into the game. So, and I never really moved ahead, unlike some other players who will just, as soon as they load, they're gone and they're rushing off towards the mission, which is another thing that is irkful, because you could be flying right behind this person and you'll get the notification. You will get the notification that says, hey, you need to rush over to this checkpoint because we're going to teleport you shortly if you don't make it there. And it's like, can you not? Can you please not? Like, I'm almost right there. I'm on the verge of overheating, Like, give me a second to get there.
Honestly.
And hold on, were you saying you are the person that just rushes, or are you the person that plays solo, or are you the person that just waits there?
I am the person that rushes and plays solo. As soon as I load in, that's me.
Well, now we know what kind of player Dwan is.
Sorry.
Not
Man, I
sorry.
don't be into that thing popping up. It's giving me anxiety. It gives me anxiety.
How does it give you an anxiety?
Because I don't want to be loaded. I don't want to be loaded. Okay, what happened to me was when I played with a group of persons online.
Mm-hmm.
What had happened was I fell in the back, and then they loaded me, somewhere far away. So, but like I tried to catch up, and when I tried to catch up, I got loaded again. It was like torture. It was like a cycle of torture, and I was just like, y'all don't know what I've been through, man. When I was in single player, y'all don't know the things I'm seeing. Okay. So I just would rather not be. I'm not a sweaty player. What is that?
I don't know what like Nally's going on about this like sweaty.
I think you're confusing what we're talking about, because right now we're talking about when after you load into the game, people who start flying before waiting until the other person's like load in. That's what we're talking about. But I didn't rush the game.
Yeah, no, we may have finished it in like 4 days, 3-4 days, but we took our time. It's just that we continuously played it. We didn't like cut any corners or anything like that. We played the game and went through about 30 something hours of story and free play and stuff like that. And admittedly, there were some times when I spent a few hours just trying to complete a mission that wouldn't register for whatever reason until... Oh yeah, if you're trying to do your multi-kills in Anthem, try to find a Scar teleporter thingy, that drill thing that kind of comes up from the ground, and like a bunch of them come out from it. You'll be able to get your kills if you just like continuously shoot with your gun and just kill them one by one. That's the only way that really worked out for me. I know some people were saying, and some developers were saying, oh yeah, certain ultimates work. Yeah, well, ultimates work? No, it's just certain ultimates work. Like mainly the Inceptor, because you do that and then you hit them one by one. Ranger's own doesn't seem to work, even though, you know, it should. Colossus, some people said that worked, but I'm seeing some people saying it doesn't. And Storm's own, I tried that, it doesn't work either, because you're hitting them all at the same time. So, yeah. There, again, are some things that could be explained better.
Yeah. Don't get me started. I was highly upset when I started the game, assuming that they were going to teach me how to play with the thing. And then they never did.
Yeah, no.
That was a big mistake on that part.
There is a tutorial section inside the system, right next to where you would check your mail. So if you press the, I forget what this is, the touchpad button right here on your PS4 controller, or, you know, pretty much whatever you use to do something similar. I don't know what it is on PC, because I haven't really played much on PC. But, yeah, you can find the information there, and it gives you very detailed breakdowns of stuff. It's just, you need to go and look for it. And it's not easily laid out, which, I mean, is both a good thing and a bad thing, because then you're not, like, inundated to be required to go through this tutorial setup.
No, that should have been, like, a mandatory thing. Like, I don't like that. I had to figure out that I had to press start and then go into something, and then go into expositions in order to find my what's it called, task, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
The trials. Sorry, yeah, like, for shame, Byron.
Well, Kuma the Kid 242 says shame on you, Dwan.
What? What I do?
What
I do? I didn't even do nothing, baby. I don't even be doing nothing. What I don't be doing nothing, people be coming for me.
I think it's because, you know, you rush the game and you play solo.
I didn't rush.
I'm joking.
I did not rush the game, okay?
No. That you rush pushing people ahead and then having them load up but instead, because when you load up and then you
have
rush.
better internet. That's all.
Wow. Okay. I see you.
Have better internet.
Dwana's letting the little inner savage inside her show a little bit right
I
now.
don't know why you surprised us. When we used to play Final Fantasy, I was a healer and I used to be the first one through the door. Like, this is me, babe.
This is true. This is true.
First one through the door. Let's go. Let's get this over with. Like, wow.
Dwana, yeah, she
I have
does
a very aggressive play style, man.
She does. She really does. Me, I'm the more, I'll sit, because of how I used to play, and I got into a lot of trouble, like stepping in the goo and stuff like that I shouldn't be stepping in. Like, I've become a lot more cautious in how I play. And so I'm the person that generally stays alive.
Gotta work with it as you go along.
Oh, Ray's calling you an Ashmain, clearly.
What that mean? I don't know what that mean. Should I be offended?
Well, let him explain that one. I'm not going to talk for him. But back to Anthem. And, actually, we were going through, like, the different stuff. And you know what? We only just finished talking about March. There's April stuff, too. There's the mastery system, which we still haven't really, like, seen what that's all about. If we actually open that image up.
Can I have the link to that image, please? Y'all see Michael? Michael is the kind of person in school who never shared his notes.
Wow! Really, Dwan? Now he's saying, sounds like you perspire a lot playing. What's a good word? He trying to get under your nerve. That's all I can say.
I don't know. I mean, important. Ha ha ha! I could say stuff too.
But yeah, so we've got the mastery system.
The word you're looking for is sweaty. I'm not a sweaty player.
Which essentially is showing like the grandmaster system, but I don't really see much on that, so I'm not sure if that's actually going to be it or not.
You sent it?
Yeah, I sent it to you over WhatsApp. Oh, sorry. Let me send it to you over Skype then.
I got it. It's actually better if you send me over WhatsApp.
Okay. But yeah, we've got more new items coming up in April as well. We've got the Cortex locked free play events, so it seems like that's probably going to be coming quite a bit. It seems to be getting like these free play events are going to be happening at limited times, essentially. That's the way it feels. Then we've got the phase 2 for the legendary missions, which means even more missions are going to be coming out. Then there's a new stronghold called the Sunken, so that brings our total up to 4 strongholds or dungeons, or whatever you want to call them, which are again difficult, especially when you then start to take it to Grandmaster level, which we've still yet to do. Key thing here, guys, if you feel the game is being too easy or that if the gameplay is lacking, you're probably playing on the wrong difficulty.
Listen to me. The jump between end game, like hard, and what's the master? Is that the next step?
Grandmaster.
Yeah, that is like night and day. Listen to me. I was dying. Like I am so happy this game doesn't show stats at the end where it's like, oh, you killed this much people and you died this much time, because I'm pretty sure my count would have been like over 5 every time. Like I died so much throughout the whole game, and by the time I reached the end game, I was like, is this your king? Is this your king? Like I was just beasting through that, but I was so surprised. And then they were like, oh, we're still on hard, we're not on grandmaster, and I just broke my confidence.
Yep. See,
so I thought I was getting better.
That's the thing, guys. Easy and normal. We tried those in the demo, and those were too easy.
This game don't even have a normal mode. It's just easy and hard. And hard.
No, it's easiest, easy, and then hard. I had someone that was messaging me on Twitter, the person who runs Cult, pretty much saying, cult gaming. Let me just say that before I get into trouble. They were pretty much saying, the game is too easy. The storyline was so and so. The gameplay. I'm like, what difficulty were you playing? Oh, I was playing on normal. I'm like, yeah, normal's easy. If you want actual normal difficulty, where it's actually a good amount of competitiveness, and you need to actually try to think, go to hard. And that's what I have to say to pretty much anyone that wants to play the game. Don't be afraid of the word hard, because a lot of games nowadays, they'll say oh, this is the hard level. Chances are that's the level that you should actually be playing at, because that's the right difficulty. I think even you and Chris noticed that even with games like God of War and Spider-Man earlier last year. Well, later on last year. Hey, Dwan?
What about them?
Essentially, the hard levels for that was, from what I remember correctly, you guys are saying that should have been the normal level, because they weren't really that difficult. They were the right level of difficulty.
No. See, I guess that might have been his argument, but I look at that in particular a bit different, because if I start a game on hard, technically it's not hard because I don't have anything to compare it to. So that's just me playing normally. That's how I look at it. I don't have anything to compare it to say, well, oh, this was harder than. Something being hard, you need something to compare it to. So the fact that I have nothing to compare it to means that it's just normal for me. So I normally start all my games on hard, and that's just normal for me. Except Resident Evil.
But that actually is a fair point, because like we said, the demos had the strongholds, which we played a ton of. Back during the demos, they were at a reasonable difficulty. When we actually played it in the actual game, that was a lot harder. And because we knew how it was before and what they tuned it up to, it felt harder.
Yep.
So
I get now, I could say that Masterwork is harder than the hard mode that I played. Yeah, Grandmaster. Sorry, I keep saying the wrong one. Grandmaster is harder than the hard mode that I played, because now I have something to compare it to.
Yeah.
Give me God of War.
Now he says he's not mature enough for this conversation. But
I know.
It's not just the new Stronghold. They're actually going to be bringing in weekly Stronghold challenges. So there are going to be special things that you need to do every week in a particular Stronghold. And don't forget, this is the same month that they bring in a completely new Stronghold. There's also going to be bringing in leaderboards to show you. So the same thing that Dwan is happy that probably has not been in the game so far, that's probably going to end up being in the game. And we're going to be getting guilds, which is different than the alliance system.
No, you're mature enough. You're just cracking jokes. I know you're only joking.
The leaderboards may not show the deaths. They may just show how much damage someone did with their ults, particular guns, and so on and so forth. How many times someone rezzed. That kind of information. I don't know. We'll have to see when that actually goes out. As for guilds, like I said, they're a little different than the alliance system, which is the alliance system again is pretty much your friend network, which is, the more friends, the more they play, the more coins you get at the end of the week. Guilds, money. Maybe something a little bit more expansive than that, and there may eventually become guild missions and guild challenges or something along those lines, where you, as a guild, have to work towards a particular goal, and it gives you a certain reward. There's a lot they can do with guilds. We just have to see how they implement it properly. And it would be nice to see how they do it, because I was thinking that we could have a Bohemian guild for Anthem eventually. Then we move on to May, and that's when the Cataclysm starts. Now, we saw a hint towards what the Cataclysm is going to be like at the very end part of the open demo a few weeks ago. and the entire world seems to be changing. The environment changes. Things are starting to spawn a lot more. During the demo, we never saw a Titan until like that very last few moments before the game closed down for the demo. But I'm pretty sure we'll be seeing a lot more stuff inside the world and things changing. We already see that there's going to be new missions. Actually, Cortex locked. Now that I'm looking at it, since they say a free play event and new missions, Cortex locked, that may actually be them hiding stuff. So they don't want to actually say what it is. And of course, they have new rewards for new items and so on. So that's just the end of Act 1. They have an Act 2 and an Act 3. So just the fact that they have 4 months worth of information here, technically, since they're including February, means that there's probably going to be one act every 4 months. So it's going to be like every 4 months you're going to get a new act, which means more information, more stuff. So we've got at least a year's worth, and from what I'm seeing, of information here that we can probably go through. So with the people who consistently say, oh, there's not enough in the game, it's boring, this and the next, or you just blew through it and now you're at endgame and you don't want to actually play it like how Diablo's played or something like that, then don't worry. There's going to be more stuff. There's going to be more story. There's going to be more baddies to fight. New races to fight against. New guns to unlock.
I know somebody who's looking forward to gun customization.
Yes. And I know someone who's very lucky and happy about their masterwork they got last night. Yeah, there's the smile. Yeah.
Your girl got a masterwork, y'all. Your girl got a masterwork. Oh man.
She was the first out of our team. It's
called Thunderbolt of Evinia, I think.
Yep, Evinia. She's the first person on our team to actually get a masterwork item. We've been getting epics for a while now, but she got the first masterwork.
I was so happy, and then like at the end of the mission, like I got kicked out, and I was so scared. I thought I lost it. I was about to fly in Bioworks DM. Fly, I say.
And see, that's the thing. Even if you disconnect inside like a mission or free play or something like that, if you disconnect inside of a mission, you can come back and join the mission back up again. If you disconnect in a free play and you picked up an item, just go back into free play, and at the end, and you can leave as soon as you like load in, and you'll get your items back. Like it keeps a record of that, so you don't actually lose anything. So you don't have to worry about that, I should say. Wow, like Nally, what is up with you and the word sweat today? Like that seems to be your key word. Is that like your moist kind of like word?
Are you sweaty for me?
Oh my.
You're using my name a lot too. You trying to send me signals?
Oh. This definitely just got adult. Oh. Okay.
No, I meant like if maybe like he thinks that I'm so, because I googled it and apparently like it has a dual meaning, and sweat master also means somebody who's really good at a game.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go with that definition.
Let's go with that mission.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So yeah, we've kind of gone over our time limit by quite a bit, but
Oh, we did?
yeah, it's like 8 o'clock.
Sorry, because I come late.
It's cool. Like, the thing about this game, though, folks, and that you have to remember, apparently Nally's down for whatever, and I am about to turn off chat before this really starts leading places.
What I gotta say, did you talk about how like the story mode is gonna be like similar to Fortnite in a way that they're gonna have like seasons? So I guess that's what the act is about. So they're gonna have like a live progression of story in the form of, I guess, acts, because I'm looking at the page now that you sent. So I guess after Act 1 is done, that's one part of the story, and then another one is going to be introduced. And it's kind of like Fortnite. Like once you miss that that section, and it's gone for good.
Essentially, yeah. Because like even within this same act that we're still in, remember it's gonna be there for 4 months. We're getting new stuff that's being rolled out. So you can expect more quests. There's the mastery stuff. There's new strongholds, new weekly stuff. Endgame isn't actually endgame, folks. Like in this aspect, it's a lot like Destiny, because then there's just going to be another expansion. Except you don't need to pay for the expansion because you already paid for the full game. So in this case, it's a lot more like Guild Wars. Guild Wars 2 at that, because you don't have to pay for anything more than just the regular Guild Wars 2.
I wonder if it's only because it was supposed to be released in September, and so that's why they're not charging us. Like, what if we reach September? Like, what if we finish Act 1, and then they'd be like, oh, purchase a free pass.
I don't think they're going to do that.
I hope not, man. I'd be so hurt.
Because they haven't mentioned anything about that, like, at all, anywhere. And the way how they've been
pretty
talking,
transparent.
Exactly. Like, they're very upfront with their stuff. So, I honestly don't see something like that happening. But I do see more stuff coming in and more people playing. And I'm really hoping it doesn't... Actually, no. I don't see this even becoming like a Monster Hunter World kind of thing where, like, they just bring in rehash stuff. Some people say the game's monotonous because you're just loading into the game and shooting stuff, and at that point I can say that's pretty much any other game that's a shooter. Fortnite, Apex Legends.
You're getting mad at the game for doing what the game was supposed to do? What?
Halo, Destiny, like Doom, guns. These are all games that you load in, you shoot things, and then you like leave. If you really want to like boil it down to basics.
That's like getting mad at Monster Hunter for like coming up with new monsters. That's dumb.
Exactly. And so the way how they're going with it, I don't really see a problem. I don't see it becoming an issue. You just don't try to hate the game just to hate the game. Give it a shot. Because you actually may find yourself really addicted to it in a good way. Or maybe an unhealthy
sweaty way. Sweat.
Thinking about it, I probably would suggest not doing what we did and just spending like 2 days and like first thing in the morning, like AM morning, playing this game just to play it. Just take your time. Like, do what people say, take your time with it, enjoy the game. Because, again, there's a lot to see. And even with exploration, I've only really and truly explored and gotten a trophy for one area in the game. And there are many. So, there's a lot to see. There's a lot to do. There's a lot of things to read. And admittedly, that can get a little annoying, especially with certain characters like Neeson. But, overall, I would say the game currently, I think a lot of people would agree with me who actually play the game, would give this game a higher score than a 5 or a 6, unlike some of these review sites do. I would actually give it a 7, maybe a 7.5.
Agreed.
With the potential to be a 9. Especially once things get really like ironed out, more things are added, so on and so forth. Like, I really have faith in this game, especially with how the team has been handling stuff and being transparent and actually working towards resolving what people are actually complaining about. Nali's saying, don't be sweaty, be patient. We're patenting that catchphrase, and that's going to be like ours now. Thanks for that, Nali. But yeah, like, any final thoughts on Anthem there, Dwan?
I love it. And it's a little baby, and it's gonna grow to be a strong young adult. I have faith in the developers. And if you guys have any questions, you can always like hit them up on Twitter or Reddit, where they actually read this stuff, they actually see it.
Yep. Oh. And they actually respond.
Also, if you play Anthem, and you want to show off your javelin to us, you should tag us and more cookies so you can see it. My javelin looks so fly.
Is that the like the spidery looking one that you designed?
Which spider? The black one?
Well,
I have a black one, a frost, and a light one. So
okay. But yeah, guys. So feel free to shoot us those over on either in the Discord that we have or over on Twitter. Our handle on Twitter is MOAR_cookies, and you can shoot us them right there. We'll probably respond, shoot some of our own, share yours, and you never know. We may find them up on this episode when we actually go live and like clean this episode up and whatnot. But that's it for this episode of Esports Wrap, guys. This one was actually a real fun one to do, even though we did it in kind of an unhealthy way and just like binge the game. It was very fun. I'm probably going to be playing the game continuous once a little bit later on today and for the rest of the week probably. I'm backlogged in my anime because of this game.
Thank God I don't watch anime anymore. I mean, like, not as consistent. What happened?
Oh, okay. That's interesting. When did this happen?
Oh, I mean, for a long time, I don't really watch anime like that.
Hmm?
I'm probably only following The Promised Neverland, Mob Psycho, and something else. I can't remember. And I don't even watch. I don't like watching anime week after week, man. It's so annoying. Alright, I just wait for them to pile up and I can just watch them all.
That is true. That is very true.
Highly annoying.
But yeah, so guys, don't forget, Esports Wrap is on Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Our sister show, MOAR Tech, is on Thursdays at the same time, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to join us in any of our conversations that we generally have between the shows, or get news on games and technology and stuff like that, feel free to jump into our Discord chat. We have it, if you're on Twitch or Mixer, then we have a link down below underneath this video. If you're on YouTube, then we have it in our description. And if you are somehow watching this, if you're watching this on Periscope, then we have the information on our Twitter handle as well. That said, I'd like to thank everyone for coming on. I'd like to thank Dwan for making time to jump onto this episode. And to all the commenters and followers that we got on this episode. Don't forget, if you missed any part of this episode, we do have a podcast, and this will be re-uploaded once it's cleaned up on YouTube. So you can listen to the audio version on the podcast, or just rewatch it on YouTube a little bit later on. Probably Wednesday. So, yeah. Until next time, guys. Oh, is there anything you want to end off with, Dwan?
Yeah, if you guys want to play with me, I guess I can give them my handle, which is DwanieJ, DWANIEJ. On PlayStation, we can play together. And I can get rich off of y'all from your coins.
I mean, that's one way to do it.
Again, it's a mutual benefit.
I may as well plug my own Tatsumi, TUTSUMI 242. Probably going to change that once the PSN name changes come about in a few months. But
I think I'm going to keep mine.
Well, yours is nice. Only reason why I added the 242 at the end of mine was because somehow my own got taken. I think that was my old account. But yeah, until next time, guys. This is MOAR Cookies.
Bye bye.
Take care.